by Nigerians. Okay. So the challenge of Nigeria's independence really is saying, what have Nigerians of dark skin done with the ability to govern themselves? How we manage ourselves? So our guest today is a movement carved in intellect, character, and vision. He was the 2023 presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, born in January 1972 in Ondo. Is a prodigious son of the soil who's embedded in local roots as his destiny, by God's grace, global heights. He is a lawyer by training, practicing both in Nigeria and also in New York, and also extending his tentacle to Singapore. But these days, he's better known as a politician. He also has a TV network, the Kaftan TV network, which he founded and a continent-wide platform to give Africa a louder voice. He speaks for Nigeria, and recently I saw his name among a group of people in Nigerian leadership or something like that. Maybe he'll explain to me if he saw it, what it means. Please welcome with me Prince Adewole Adebayo. Prince Adewole Adebayo, good to see you again in this palatial looking office. It's like we're in one kind palace there. God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir.
All decked and decorated. How are you?
I'm doing fine, sir. Thank you, and happy Independence Day to you. And God bless Nigeria, and God bless Nigerians.
God bless Nigeria, and God bless Nigerians indeed. Yeah, yes. Maybe you can just give me a heads up as to how things have been since the political movements that we had about 2 years ago. You and I met here and there, we crossed paths here and there. So now the elections have been, as it were, won and as it were, lost, as it were. What have you been up to since that time before we go into our topic of today?
Well, what we have been doing after the election is to let people know that the conversation continues. Because while we were campaigning, part of our talking points were for the immediate electorate. Most of it was for a longer vision about the country. And it wouldn't matter who won the election or who lost the election, some issues will not leave us. And the earlier we build consensus around those issues, so that hopefully they will not be subject of campaign. We are probably one of the few countries in the world that are still campaigning about corruption. Every decent person knows that corruption is not good. It's not a political program. It is admitted by most people in the world, most civilizations, that a corrupt society will not go anywhere. So if we all agree about that, no one will choose a president with respect to their attitude towards corruption, because all presidents, all presidential candidates, all politicians, all leaders at different levels of our national life will agree that corruption is bad. The fact that we need to be united around certain principles, fairness, justice, equity, rule of law, all those things should not be political programs. We had a of mine of blessed memory, President Mori Yaradua, who said one of his tenets of his administration would be the rule of law. And I'd asked him, do you have an option? I mean, you're a civilian government, why that's the program at all? You know, and there was a debate as to where they were in the 7-point agenda. I think like Talibu Yakubu and some of them will still remember. They were trying to put rule of law as part of the 7-point agenda, and I was thinking, rule of law cannot be a manifesto. Rule of law has to be basic, what everybody has to follow. So these are the conversations we've been having after the election, so that people can know that these are not election issues. These are basic and fundamental issues of how to define our society and how to organize ourselves. So that's what we've been doing since that time.
Oh, fantastic. Are you still in the SDP or you are not in any party right now? And what are your own, I don't know if it's time for me to ask you, what are your political leanings? What are your political thoughts? What are you considering to do for 2027?
I joined the SDP in 1991 when I was 19 years old. And even when the party was banned, I didn't join any other party. And as close as I was to those who were running PDP in those days, I didn't join the PDP, even though some of them were my clients. I have relationship with some of them. And when they started this APC, I didn't even consider it for a second. So basically, the only political party I've ever joined in my life is the SDP, which I joined when I was 19 years old. And that's where I will remain unless the party ceases to exist. But I can't join another party. I will remain the SDP.
Well, but there were rumors, I don't know if this is true or not, that the SDP was actually working for the APC, this and that, and the other one. And the FCC is a little bit up for anybody who is ready to negotiate with them. Correct me if I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I do apologize. But as I said, there were rumors and talk at that time.
Well, we don't know all the rumors and talk, but what I know is what the SDP is doing officially. And I only participate in what the SDP is doing officially. But what I find out is that people who are in political parties tend to have loyalty outside their political party. I think it's part of the problems we try to solve in bringing more ethical leaders. But all my politics, 100% of my own politics, is done inside the SDP. And this day and time, there is no way you could have a relationship with people that there won't be evidence of it. Either they will see you with them, you will take a photo with them, they will trace their money to you, they will trace their activity to you. So if you really want to know where somebody belongs to, if you want to know, other than just passing rumor or propaganda, if you really want to know, you will know. So there may be elements of people in the SDP who have sympathies elsewhere. But what we tend to do is when we catch them, we tend to relegate them or expel them. But for SDP, we know that SDP has 3 different epochs. There was the SDP, which I joined in 1991, which was the SDP of the Third Republic. That's why you will see people like Ladoja, for example. It was our senator. You will see people like Lekan Balogun, you will see Tinubu, Yoshi Ayu, Atiku Abubakar, so many of them like that, who were in the SDP of that time. Agun Anakwe, who's being buried now in Abuja, was the speaker. At that time, Kwankwaso was deputy speaker. So if you go around, those who are in politics today, that many of them were in the SDP. Unfortunately, I don't know why, because there were 2 parties. There's the SDP, Social Democratic Party, and there was the National Republican Convention, NRC. It looks like those who went to the NRC are not as successful as those who went to SDP, because many of the NRC people, you don't see them. The one I remember too well was my Egbon, Donyo Kupe, because we used to exchange ideas, and people like to come back burner. I think they quit politics now and doing politics for many of those NRC people. Didn't appear to go far, to be very active now. But the SDP one, so you will find them in every politics. So sometimes when we go out, when we meet them, they say, oh, it's our party, we're all together and things like that. So if President Tinubu and many of the people around him still have that nostalgia about the SDP, that's one epoch. The second epoch of SDP was when Shefala came with Pat Utomi, so many of them like that, and they started and they revived the SDP. And so anywhere I go now and I say I am a leader of SDP, Pat Utomi is quick to say, no, that's my party. The position you are now, I used to be there. So that's the second epoch of it. The third epoch is what we are doing now, which is the SDP of young people who don't have the history of having occupied any office in SDP. We just want to revive the little to the left principle of it, which incidentally coincides with chapter 2 of our Constitution, fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy. So it's as if the little to the right never made it to the Constitution. Everything that you find in chapter 2 is what you will find in SDP. Nigeria has a unique constitution. Imagine if the British were to adopt a constitution and the fundamental objectives and directive principle take the manifesto of the Labour Party and ignore that of the Tory. Or if there's a chapter in the US Constitution that takes the platform of these Democrats and didn't take that of the Republicans. So I see that that's that. But otherwise, I think that the SDP, we tend to contest election against any party that is in power or that is available. And on many occasions, we've defeated them. On many occasions, they defeated us. On some occasions, they cheated and said they defeated us, but we actually defeated them. So like in Kogi, we fought them. We know that we won. They just stole it, and it's up to their conscience. Same thing in Ekiti, we won it, and they stole it. But in some other states, they beat us handsomely because we don't have strong people there. In Nasarawa, we took 2 out of the 3 Senate seats. Even the third one, we lost it because of some local problem around Doma, because the candidate that the PDP chose has enthusiasm at home because the Doma people had been looking for a way to produce a senator, and we didn't think about that one. Even when I spent like 3 nights in Doma, it didn't occur to me that they were just looking at me, how will you not choose one of us for at least Senate or something? So we lost that. So, but our opponents, which we must have, also tend to demarket us sometimes if people are talking positively about us, about our ideas, our enthusiasm, our independence. So they just say, oh, don't mind them. They saw something they will say. It's normal in politics. But the SDP is an independent party. Our ideals are different. And it is it's very rare if you are a true SDP person that you have interest in APC or PDP. It will be very hard because the idea of what they are doing is totally opposite to what we will do. So why would you, especially when APC is open and they are in government, why would you waste your time to come to a more ideological party that has more work to be done, less money, less spread? Well, you can just go and join APC and join them in the villa the next day and take a photo with the president. You know.
So this brings me to a good place for us to start. How is SDP going to work it out? And how is SDP going to make it work? How are you going to be able to build a strong and sincere party with a manifesto, agenda, ethos, a party with ethos? Because right now you'll agree with me that most parties in Nigeria are platforms. There's no real ethos. It's just an association, groups of people who agree for that time and season to work together to to get power. I wouldn't even say to win election, to work together to seize power, or to get power one way or the other. I'm not even going to say they are working together to win elections, because some elections, like you alluded just now, are not quite won, but somehow people are put in power here and there. And anybody who does not agree with me can say so. But that has been part of my experience in Nigeria. Even from the First and Second Republic is nothing new. Tony Cole was on the platform last week, and he says he's been to a lot of political meetings. Maybe he didn't come for SDP political meetings anyway. And none of them talks about the people and what people are going to do for the people. Most of them talk about how to get into office and how much money is going to be spent and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. So I would like to know, since you're a leader of SDP, is it possible to have in Nigeria a party that has ethos, that has fundamental thinking, where the party is superior to the members of the party, and people are pursuing party agenda to a large extent? Is it possible?
No, it is possible. It has happened. When it comes to manifesto, you have a school of politics and governance. You can ask the director to ask your students to analyze, to do comparative analysis of manifestos and look at the SDP and juxtapose it against what the Constitution says. So manifesto is okay for us. We are fine with the manifesto. And you also remember that our manifesto did not arise from emergency coupling of words together for election. It is the product of the Omomoro's Center for Democratic Studies. So at that time, there was some ideological grounding that upon which the party was founded. And I thank Chief Alai, the Professor Patutomi, and others who, when they had opportunity to create a new political party, they decided to say, no, let's go back to the SDP. Kofalai was there, he ran for president on that platform. So well, Abiola is no longer here, but let's go back to that farewell to poverty that we had. And they revived the party for us to now continue. So the ideology is okay. What is required is democratic patience. Because in my background, we are asked to do revolutionary patience. So, and not everybody wants to be revolutionary like me. So we say democratic patience, which is that I am running for president on ideals and ideas, which I do my best to win based on those ideas. And if I win, I govern based on those ideas. But if I don't win and my time passes, another person is coming to carry that torch. That is why Abiola is not here. But I'm running on farewell to poverty and insecurity. I'm running on Abiola's program. We still play the same Abiola mantra, the same jingle. We're running now in Abuja for the area councils. And Dr. Obina, who is running for the Abuja Metropolitan Area Council, AMAC, came to me and he had done all his manifesto, logo, and everything. It's following the same thing, which the SDP used when engineer Wale Adesina won this election, the only election held in Abuja to elect the mayor of Abuja, 1992. The first election to elect the mayor of Abuja was won by the SDP. Same thing that he used to campaign, same logo added to the Abiola. So it continues. So a time will come, maybe it will be 2089. They say SDP is 100 years old. So there will be a political party like that. So that's the idea. So it's not about Adebayo fans club gathering together and I give them money and they are running after me. This is a political party that is going to be available and the principles are well known. So that's the party already. And you could see that the party is already showing sign of discipline and internal discipline, getting things to run well. And anybody who is from outside and comes to SDP to try to use SDP processes or SDP institutions or SDP persons for politics other than what the party is set up for, we have recent history of them being suspended, being disciplined, and the party wants to run itself. I know that Nigerians believe that maybe it's almost impossible for us to have a party of selfless people. But I think if you come to the SDP, you will see a party of selfless people. And the struggle continues within us. The dialogue continues within us because there are elements, even when I ran for president, there are elements that worked against us who were in the party agents who will not show up, party state chairman who would collect our agent card and then go and give it to another political party. I went to Kwara, discovered that from our research sheets, we scored 122,000 votes, but they got only 22,000 for us. And the people who were working with us were supposed to protest and do everything. They thought that they could have a relationship with the ruling party, and then they messed that up. So we're changing those leaderships. We're bringing new people in. So it takes a while to get a political party that majority will be people who are selfless, patriotic, and who are doing the politics because they want nothing out of it other than a better country. And even whether they like my face or not, whether I'm present or not, their love for a better country, their love for a country they can belong to, the restlessness in their spirit that how can I be a failure? How can my country not be great? So it's not about my face. They make sacrifices. So those people are already there. But we want them in large numbers. From time to time, there's always there's an envy of evil that occurs in Nigeria. There's a great envy of evil. So when someone does something unethical or untoward, and they're getting reward out of it, you will envy them. You say, oh, I wish I was Minister of Finance. How I wish I was. Look at the person joined politics after me. He's already Minister of Aviation. It's already this. So you want to, just like a person who works hard for the police or the army and is doing the right thing and will find junior officers riding Mercedes, building estate, building hotels, there can be an envy of evil that comes to you from time to time. But why don't I be like them? But it doesn't work because ultimately all of us are going to be accountable for the time we spend on earth. The situation of our country is going to speak to our standing in the world. And all of these things, if they are the main reason why you are in politics, I have no doubt that you would be patriotic and you will stay in your party and you will do what is right. There are people in the party that I don't even speak to at all. I don't preach to them, I don't speak to them because I know how their heart bleeds for the country. So when they have reason to make decision in the party, I don't disturb myself. I know that they are going to do what is right. But there are other people whom we have to be discussing with. There was a candidate in one of our recent governorship elections. He just joined us, and for some reason, the party leadership thought he should be the governorship candidate. I was overseas. I came back. I saw him. I said, okay. He said he wanted to meet with me. And he came with a brilliant way by which he could bribe voters. He knows the commissioner of police. He knows criminality. He knows this and that. And we can win the election. And I said, I'm sorry, we don't want to win that way. If this is how, we cannot do it. Oh, well, he said in his former party, he used to be the one to help them, but they never made him a candidate. Now we've made him a candidate. He wants to help us. I said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. But talk to other people. And he talked to other people, more and more people are saying, well, we can't do it. And of recent, when they were putting together this coalition, they thought that maybe some of us were too rigid and we didn't want to win. We didn't want to So, but when they started talking to other leaders in the party, the same questions kept, question of ideology, question of sincerity of purpose, question of credibility started now being asked. So it's not like you go to other parties and say, well, the other party says, if you give us 500 million, if you give us 1 million euros, you can take our party. But in SDP, nobody's going to tell you that. They're going to ask you questions about this and that. So those are the things that give me hope that I'm not wasting my time in the SDP and that I'm not wasting my resources. And I'm happy to be in this party. I feel happy about it. We have issues from time to time, but I don't look right or left. I just look straight forward. And if I'm the only one, if I'm fooling myself, and I'm the only one who is sincere, I go to my grave, a sincere man. Doesn't disturb me at all. But I know that definitely I'm not the only one. There are many, many people, old, young, male, female, who are committed to Nigeria, and they are working through the SDP.
Well, thank you very much for those very soothing and comforting words. And I do want to challenge you and take you up on it and pray and hope that you can sit in the SDP and rally the people to, first of all, build a real political party. Even if that is all that you achieved, my brother, you would have done something very, very significant for the democracy and politics of our country. Because, as I said, I'm not sure such a party really exists in Nigeria today. Most of them are political arrangements from top to bottom. But if eventually, through your efforts and the efforts of some people around you, we're able to say, well, this is the SDP, this is what they stand for, these are the rules and regulations, this is the kind of people they attract, and this is where they're going. I'm sure that the Lord Almighty will honor that if it is sincere, and then we begin to have some things. I think the other thing you said is that politics is not a short run, or democracy is not a short run. You even spoke about 100 years down the line. If you can get it right, maybe the benefit will come in 100 years down the line. I don't know. And I pray Nigeria survives till that time, the way we're going. But that would be fantastic that at least we're heading in a certain direction. So I'm going to challenge you to do this and try and do it for the sake of our democracy and build a truly strong party over time. And I pray that one of those parties will be SDP. But coming back to our topic today, the journey so far, what is your own opinion of Nigeria at 65, the journey so far? And I'll leave you to take it from whatever angle or whatever interpretation you choose to give to it. I won't constrain you.
Okay, I think that there are two journeys taking place, like a parallel universe. There's the journey of the country as a whole, and there are individual journeys inside the country. So Nigeria, the 65 years is like someone who is on a train, maybe a train conductor, or someone who's a cleaner on a train, or someone who does some work on the train. And the journey of the train is one journey. So you look at the journeys, the train started from Ido in Lagos and is going to Talata Marafa up north in Safara State. And so you see how the train is trucking along. And you can say for 65 hours, this train has not arrived in a journey that should have taken just about 12 hours. At the same time, the attendant inside the train is going from coach to coach doing his duty. And he's also counting whether he's doing his own duty. How many journeys are you making around the train? And for Nigeria, we started accidentally. There are no great philosopher or great thinker within our population who says, oh, let us all come together. Let me unite our people together. If you study the history of some kingdoms, some countries, some societies, it will be indigenous, maybe warring tribes, warring groups, disunited by many factors, or especially by politics, but united by culture. And a great leader rises among them and says, let me unite my people. That's not the history of Nigeria. The history of Nigeria is an external necessity for trade. So Nigeria started merely as a trade zone. Just like this day you have free trade zone, export processing zone. So it's a zone. It's like, let me make a more illustrative indicator. For example, the arbitrariness with which they created areas for discos. So Ikeja disco, Lagos disco, Ibadan disco, Benin disco, different, Yola disco. So that's how Nigeria was to the Royal Niger Company. It was just a trade zone. Let's have this trade zone. And in those trade zones are different kingdoms and communities and all of that. And somehow, for the efficiency of their business, they decided to hand it over back to the British government and run it as a protectorate and part of it as a colony. And then after a while running two protectorates, next to each other, 1914, let us amalgamate together. So, but 46 years later, the people who put it together just said, well, we've had enough of it. Let's hand it over to the locals now. And young people who had never run anything before, but who were united by the philosophy that we're indigenous people. Right from about Macaulay in Lagos, and those who gave a lot of trouble to Lugard and Clifford, and Lugard called them the trousered Negroes, because he was highly irritated about them. And if we look at the way Lugard analyzed the elite who were asking for home rule, the British should leave, he considered them to be trousered Negroes who had no knowledge of the country, who were in Lagos, sending their clothes through an Adebsta company to Liverpool to be laundered and well ironed and sent back to them in Lagos. And they didn't know anywhere 100 kilometers north of Lagos. They don't know anything. And he dismissed them. But over time, they organized the Center to Nigerian Youth Movement, they split into political parties, the NCNC, Action Group, Northern People's Congress. And within a short order, they were getting independence. So if we look at what happened in 1999, because many people who are listening to me, many will be able to remember 1999 when Obasanjo came. I know there are Gen Zs and co whom I respect, but they may not remember that much because they were in primary school or they were in the womb or they had not been conceived at all. But for people who were like already in secondary school when Obasanjo came, they will still remember. So look at the period between when Obasanjo came in 1999 and now. It's about the same period that the independence movement started and we got independence. That short time, like that. And we got independence. We had people who were going to parliament who did not know anywhere 25, 30, or 100 kilometers away from their hometown. No sense. I'm going to Parliament in Lagos, coming from maybe somewhere around Ikom, which is now Cross River North. I'm the one representing the district there, and I'm coming to Lagos. And another person is coming from Malumfachi in the old Sokoto division, which is now Katsina. And we are meeting. We are stranger to each other, more of a stranger to each other than a British person. So we are there. We are meeting each other for the first time. Even when they went to Lancaster House, I don't want to go into all the history except somebody who is interested and I can answer that, I can speak to that. But when we went to Lancaster House to negotiate independence, many of us were going, many of our leaders were going like strangers. Because I remember that my uncle represented Ondo at that conference and went with the Action Group delegation. And they were going there almost like the way Ukraine is going to meet Russia in Washington or somewhere or Switzerland. So, but somehow they managed, elections were held, and all the promises that we had at that time, majority of the promises arose from the self-governance of the regions. But they managed to, again, to create a region in 1963, not only that, to declare a republic. So somehow, whether they knew what they were doing or not, the politics of that time made them to declare, especially the case of Adewole, made them, the court case of Adewole, made them to declare a republic. We're now on our own. We have nothing to do with the British judicial system, British Privy Council, and all of that. The Queen is no longer our head of state. Nnamdi Azikiwe, our Governor General, is now our president, head of state. Now, but you know, we didn't manage. How the journey so far? Secondly, First Republic was a disaster because dishonesty happened in the election. Corruption, collecting 10% was introduced. Naming all the streets after people had not achieved anything. So the streets, the guys that we wanted to remove British colonial imprint. But people like McGregor and all of that made Lagos livable. If you will still see the McGregor Canal and all those streets named after even engineers, volunteers, and many people who pioneer, but they named after themselves anyway. So then they were cheating each other, killing each other, criminality, and all of that. And then the republic collapsed. And the military took over. And for some reason, the military too could not have consensus. So there were two coups in 1966. And we are still debating why we had two coups in 1966. But if we had question about the first coup, but the second coup was clear. The second coup was meant to retaliate for the first coup. So, and that was the end of esprit de corps, order, regimentation in the Nigerian army. Because we had now to take a young officer, Yakubu Gawan, to now be head of state above his seniors. And for some reason, all the training they got together in Sandhurst, all the marching together, all the training that Webby Everard gave them and all their officers, everything collapsed. And the two factions of the military caused the civil war. And we fought that civil war for a long time. And the civil war we fought was a very brutal one, not very good, no accountability, many victims of unlawful killing, rape, robbery, and maltreatment generally. They lived, some are still living, but those who died without any compensation, any inquiry, because we ended up with the facious statement of no victor, no language. We didn't set up any inquiry. So impunity now came into it, and we began a series of poor demobilization, led to armed robbery, because there were guns flying all over the place. So, and the military started to do coups against each other. And then Obasanjo came with Murtala. Murtala started it and said, okay, you know what? We are going to have a transition to civil rule. And at that time, apart from Sir Kashim Imam, who refused. Almost everybody who was asked among the politicians of the First Republic, starting with Awolowo, Kori Aripo, Enahoro, Joseph Taka, Malam Aminu Kano, many people who were in politics served under the military. Beska Sakashim said, I will not serve under the military because I'm a Democrat and they kill us, kill our people and took over. Why should we serve under them? So we will not legitimize them. But the rest served there. So there was the first unity of the political class with the military. Then secondly, the intellectuals also served with the military. So by the time we're having the Constitutional Assembly in 1977, the political class, the military, and the intellectual class, including people like Oshoba, not Sheikh Oshoba, but Sheikh Oshoba, the professor, the academic, not Sheikh Oshoba, the politician, people like Bala Usman, people like Chino Achebe, and many of them, everybody came together and said, okay, so there was a Constitutional Assembly in 1977. And that Constitutional Assembly was the foundation for switching from the parliamentary system to the presidential system, one party, national party. That's when we started making regulations for forming political party. It was not as liberal as it was in the First Republic, where you and people in your village can form, you can form Awori People's Party, you can form Ijebu-Ode People's Party, but now the party has to be national. So we're trying to nationalize our politics. And we had a beautifully written constitution where F.R.A. Williams was chairman of the drafting committee. People like very sound constitutional lawyers joined them. And we had this constitution, and in that constitution is where we put chapter 2 and also chapter 4. Chapter 2 dealt with fundamental objectives. What is our way running? What's our government about? What's the principle behind the government? If you are going to government, what's the purpose of government? So those issues were raised there. How do we manage our economy? How do we manage our resources? How do we manage opportunities? And the issue of national balance and all of that was put there. And then we had chapter 2 of the Constitution, which was Bill of Rights, fundamental rights and how to enforce fundamental rights because of the abuse of fundamental rights, especially by the native authority police and by local chiefs and kings in those days in their courts. Terrible. So if you read Awolowo's Path to Nigerian Freedom and many of those things, you will see many of the, and if you look at what the NEPO people, the Northern Element Progressive Union, NEPO, what they went through in the hand of MPC in the North, and so on and so forth. So we started to have the well-structured political party system with FEDECO established in the Constitution, and you could register now. And then some national parties came out of it, because if you saw the struggle that the politicians had for the first time, where they were forming political parties, now you had to think of somebody from far away to be your member of your executive. You have to have structure in every state across the country, especially politicians from the North. The Northern People's Congress never had a branch outside the North. They never had anything. They would only do alliance with NCNC at the beginning. Later, they do alliance with Akintola's Democratic Party. They would do alliance with South NNA people and all of that. So now we transited to the Second Republic with Shagari, and the election was terrible as well, because the military was leaning on the election. We had the infamous 12 to 3rd, the argument in the Supreme Court. So in the Second Republic, the Supreme Court decided who was the winner. It was not by consensus. And you can remember how Shagari managed 3 years, 4 years, 3 months, and the economy relatively poorly managed. There was a lot of corruption. Even though Shagari himself was not a man who was personally corrupt, but he was permissive. Before there was Goodluck Jonathan, there was Shagari, soft person who looked harmless on their own, but everybody around them took advantage and they were looting the country one way or the other. And then the military came back again with Buhari. Then we had, but the most transformational aspect was when Babangida came, and he was quite dialectical, trying to run a military government as if it was a civilian government, even still with strong tactics, but with endless transition, like that of Gawad. Endless transition that should have ended in 1990. But it could continue, and that's how SDP, NRC came up, and we found ourselves that we conducted the election. Then the intention of Babangida now showed, because when the election was successfully conducted, they annulled it, and then we had a interim government, which was very problematic for the country. International crisis, NADECO formed, and then probably the worst dictator ever to have ruled Nigeria since independence, Abacha came, and it was that the country was looking like Zaire or Congo. Eventually, we managed to transit to, he died, and Salami came with an 11-month program. We found ourselves having a civilian government. But what did we have? We had a civilian government that was essentially military, because the president that they gave to us was their senior. They trusted him, and they brought him out, and essentially he was already like a predetermined candidate. And if you look at the election results, it's very doubtful if that election result was what eventually was used to determine who the winner was. And many people who do research will go and find the presidential election result. I'm not sure it's what his official result is. So long and short, Obasanjo started using his own experience, and he tried to mop up some of the loose ends. And because Nigeria was under sanction under Abacha, he was able to get many of the sanctions away off, and the economy started having a life. And Obasanjo had experience about how to govern, but he was not a Democrat. He's not a Democrat. Maybe he wants to be a Democrat now, but he wasn't as a head of state, as a president, a Democrat. Because the 2003 election is one of the worst. And you can go and get the notes of Jimmy Carter, who was asked to come and be an election observer, whatever. So, and then we thought that was bad enough until we had 2007, where even the winner said this election least more should be desired. So we've been having these bad elections like that over time. So we've spent 26 years. The thing we've achieved is that we've continued to have a civilian system. The Nigerian elite have not woken up the military wing to go and get their uniform and take over. I think all the crimes, vices, evil that could be done is already permissive under this system. So there's no need for you to break it. It's already favoring you. So they all remain there. So we also, who are Democrats, are happy that we have had unbroken civilian system. But all the promises, we've not been keeping them. Not one of the promises have been kept. And not one administration, from Obasanjo to Yaradua to Jonathan Goodluck to Muhammadu Buhari, now to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, none of them has kept the promise. But as bad as the presidential systems has been, or presidential administrations, we are in more trouble at the subsidiary level. The governors have been worse than even the president. Today, the best government in Nigeria is still the federal government. the most accountable, even though they're not accountable, but the most accountable is still the federal government. The National Assembly is totally betraying the people, but it's still the best legislative house in Nigeria because the rest are just there as the lapdog of the president or of the governors of their state, or totally responsible completely. So this is where we are. That's the journey of the country in politics. The journey of the country, the social history of Nigeria, is that we've managed somehow to domesticate certain virtues. Education, which unfortunately has too much of a westernization in it, but we've managed to domesticate that. And some of our brothers in the north who have a Middle Eastern orientation to education, who run a dual system, have also been very good in the curriculum and liturgy of Islamic education, and they've given a good account of themselves in that regard. So we are a fairly educated society, even though we have large amount of our people, especially younger ones, out of school. The quality of the education has not been rising as much as it should, but a bit of it has been attenuated by the paradigm subsidy of the global ICT revolution. So you could attend a poorly run polytechnic, but if you have access to internet, you could have a peer review contribution to your education. You could be in a poorly run university, but you have access to some journals online and all of that. So you don't have to, you're not limited to the physical library in your school or lack of it. So it has also made many of our young people to be able to pair very well with their peers in the world. But a vast majority of our people are left behind. On the economic side, we've managed to mismanage ourselves completely because our GDP, the GDP of Nigeria today, should have been the GDP of Enugu State only, not even up to the GDP of Lagos, or Oyo, or Kano, or Anambra, or Rivers, or Delta. So we have done poorly in our economy. And there are three principal reasons for that. We've stolen and exported a lot of our wealth overseas. And a lot of this wealth is now being frozen. Many of the people who took the wealth there can't invest well, so and they can't recover a lot of their properties that they have there. So we've exported our money. There are two parts in the exportation of our money. Some money carted away by public servants, the chairman of whom happens to be Abacha. But before Abacha, they have been doing it, even for the First Republic. And after Abacha, they are still doing it. So this money is taken away, being kept by families and persons and proxies. It's a loss to our economy. That's why it looks like all of us, 250 million going, or 230, 250, you will excuse me if I don't have a exact figure. But our GDP is so small that a country of 3 million elsewhere has a bigger GDP than us. A country of 10 million, 20 million, 60 million has better GDP than us. So are we that lazy? It's not so. Our money is being stolen and taken overseas. And the second part of the money being stolen is the money being stolen by over-invoicing and other wastages to foreign elements who come to help them take the money. Because before you can steal $1 billion, you have to let the foreigner through whom you are stealing it to exaggerate their entitlement to 10 billion and take the money away. Or like they are doing solid mirrors, they just come and take all the resources away and there's nothing anybody's doing. So now the second reason why our economy is doing poorly is lack of opportunities. We are not employing our people. because the elite who are claiming money off the cup of the state, they don't need you. Oil is bringing enough, taxation is bringing enough, stolen minerals is bringing enough. They don't really need you. As long as they have enough money to buy houses, Banana Island, buy houses in Ikoyi, buy houses in Victoria Island, buy houses different parts of the country, buy estates in Dubai, buy houses in the best part of Europe, London, whatever. So as long as they have that, they think that that money is enough. But they don't realize that for Nigeria to be a country that can take care of its people, we need to be budgeting about 300 to 350 billion annually in our federal budget. Whereas the states will do other things. So I'm talking about federal budget alone. Because when I did the calculation, the first time I was running for president, to meet the manifesto and to meet the objectives in the Constitution, especially Chapter 2, I saw that my first budget need to be $330 billion. And I need to continuously budget that. And I look at that year, the budget was about 35 billion. So I need to budget 10 times more. And I started thinking, how are you going to fund this so that you don't look like a clown? And I found out that was what led me to that famous, or let's say famous noise I was making regarding that majority of our crude oil at that time, 80% of the crude oil was being stolen. And then I see the amount being stolen in the solid minerals. And when you see the amount being stolen in other ways from the fiscal aspect of it, taxation and all of that, I realized that you can raise that kind of money. And when I see the amount of labor that our people can generate, productivity that they can do, if you produce 10 million pairs of shoes locally, you have where to sell them. And you see all the other skills. If you farm ginger and you have ginger oil, you could make, if there was a Nigerian ginger oil company, it will make more money than NNPC is declaring. And then you go from sector to sector like that. And if you go to fisheries, you go to many aspects. So I realized that if we invested a little more in our universities, we will save all the money, and some will still go abroad because of fantasy or other reasons. But you will have net inflow of undergraduates from other countries coming to Nigeria to pay money to attend University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, to attend EPOMA, to go anywhere, anywhere you have schools, people will come. So with all that investment being made, if we do housing, that will throw our GDP up, and people can, just by virtue of having a Nigerian birth certificate and a letter of employment, they can actually be given houses to buy, and they can pay for 35 years. And then they have a structured way by which they know they have to work. Adewole did a little bit of that when he was insisting that everybody must pay a tax, a poll tax. As long as you live, as long as you are a male and you are in Western region, don't say I'm jobless, don't say I'm anything. You must pay a tax. And if they arrest you, they will take you to prison. You can be shouting and say, the reason why I haven't paid is because I haven't got a job. Then they will say, okay, here's the job for you, PWD. Go there and be patching potholes, making roads, doing something. Then from there, they take the tax. So if you get our people working, and we reduce unemployment to a single digit, our GDP will go past 400 billion. I can do the mathematics anytime you call me to your school of governance, or you can televise it, and I would break it down sector by sector. So the third element, why our GDP is small, is because of the poor recording of the GDP. Because you could see recently, we did a rebasing when Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was minister. We did a rebasing, and the GDP shot up. But there are a lot of figures not being captured in our GDP. And now you can build a house in many parts of Nigeria, build a house, rent the house to the tenant, collect your rent. Today, I can tell you, statistically, there will be up to 200,000 people who pay their house rent today. And I'm not sure that it will be recorded anywhere because rent income is not recorded. Maybe some states are trying it, but I doubt. Most states, they don't go to a landlord and say, well, how many tenants do you have? Where is the agreement? And stuff like that. So there are many other sectors. So those are the three reasons in terms of the economy. But we fail woefully because 133 million of our people are living below the poverty line. And the poverty line is not arbitrary. The poverty line is just the amount you will need to be able to make your family of four, which is not quite representative because a lot of Nigerians are responsible for more than that. But let's assume that each person has a job, maybe many of your dependents will reduce. So we had the poverty capital of the world. Now, when it comes to um, um, other aspects, infrastructure, we're backward. Many of our people don't have access to water. The quality of water is going down. The quality, the number of our people who have access to electricity is coming down relative to the population. To go from different parts of the country is becoming more problematic, even though Alhaji Okuno, when he was Minister of Works, changed the country. Lateef Okuno, maybe Nigerians don't want to thank him, but he was the person who you could say the architect of modern Nigeria when it comes to infrastructure. The first thing he did was the dualization of Ikorodu Road in Lagos. It used to be a narrow road. And then he designed all the roads. It will surprise us that maybe we can say that Okuno was minister 50 years ago, half a century ago. 50 years later, half a century, we have not finished building the road designed by Okuno as Minister of Works. Then Obasanjo later became Minister of Works, implementing part of what Okuno designed. We build the Lagos-Ibadan Express, Enugu, Port Harcourt, Onitsha, Enugu, Port Harcourt. And Babangida did the first dualization in the north was done by Babangida after the Gulf War. That, if you remember the Okigbo panel, when they were reviewing all the money, the 12.5 billion bonanza or surplus income, unprojected money that came out of Bush Senior attacking Saddam Hussein over Kuwait. And we had extra $12.5 billion we didn't budget for that came in rapid order. So they did a bit of Abuja, 1991, and then they did the first dualization in northern Nigeria, Abuja, Kano. And that road is bad today. And many of the roads I mentioned, with the exception of Lagos, Ibadan, where they have done most part, but most of those roads have disappeared. So, and if you look at the Onitsha, Enugu, Port Harcourt, that road, I passed there a few years ago, and it was like some part of the road, even trees have grown up there. So, poor infrastructure, telephony, poor, even now with the leapfrogging to GSM and all of that, we still have costs dropping because of poor management of the bandwidth, the poor supervision. So overall, this is where we are. But we are one of the few countries that went to a civil war, ended it, though unfairly went into it, or fairly fought it, or fairly ended it, but ended it without United Nations putting troops in our country, without the front lines being there. About 8 years after that war ended, somebody from the other side of the divide was already vice presidential candidate in 1978. And by the 9th year, within a decade of a civil war, he was already vice president, one heartbeat away from being president. And we are now almost forgetting that we had a civil war. I don't want us to forget. the lessons of it, but the trauma of it, I want us to recover from it. And all over the world, people have a sense of bearing, even if they are not, even if they have one or two grievances against the republic, they have some acts of injustices that they want to complain about, but they are loyal to their community. They want to come home. So we have a diaspora that is not uh, morbidly or rabidly against their home country. I lived in America for many years, and I see Cubans, I see Iranians, I see many people from different countries who are agitating against their country. In America, they don't like their country. They want the country to be sanctioned. But Nigerians want to come home. They want to serve. They want to. So, and we are mixing together well in the social aspect. The number of intermarriages have increased. We are learning each other's cultures. We are blending. We are true Nigerians now, even though we are disgruntled over one thing or the other. But when someone says I'm a Nigerian, it's not just saying something. Because our grandfathers, uncles, when they said they were Nigerians, they were saying it in a plastic way because they didn't feel it. They just, okay, give me a passport. The same way I feel about ECOWAS now. When you say an ECOWAS citizen, that's how they felt about Nigeria. They didn't see, I can say, well, I'm a Nigerian. So you would find that Dr. Michael Okwara will say, I'm a Nigerian. And then someone like Adebayo will say, I'm a Nigerian. Shagari will say, I'm a Nigerian. But if you interview them, they're just saying so because of the passport that they are carrying. They didn't understand each other quite well, and they were working at it. But now, when you say you're a Nigerian, because what are you going to be next? You will say, I'm from Lagos State, or I'm from Kano State, or I'm from Edo State. So I'm from Rivers State, I'm from Sokoto State. The fact that I'm a Nigerian, that is ringing well because many of us can't remember when people were not Nigerians. So that's how I see it. In terms of international journey, Nigeria went from respectability to mediocrity to odium to pariah and to a joke. And to tell you what the joke is, for the past 2 years plus, we've had no ambassador in any country. It's up to the president whether he wants to appoint ambassadors or not. But nobody is complaining. We have no partners who are scratching their head. Then how do we cooperate with Nigeria with no ambassador? We need Nigeria's voice. And if you look at the most recent Security Council, General Assembly meetings of the United Nations, there are not many issues. There are not many issues that they say, oh, we have to wait for Nigeria. Even Kenya went to say, we want to be in Security Council. So go back to the Bolaji Akinyemi days. Go back to Dr. Adedeji days, Professor Adedeji. Go back to those days of frontline states where Nigeria's voice, nobody wanted to annoy Nigerians. No, because if you annoy Nigerians, Nigeria will make sure they block you out of Africa. So the 5 pillars of the OAU in those days, which is the African Union, now, the 5 pillars had Nigeria at the center of it, had Nasser's Egypt there, had Selassie's Ethiopia, and because there was nobody in Southern Africa, because all of them were under either Iron Smith in Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, or they were under apartheid in South Africa, Nigeria would speak for them, were the frontline state. So they had Algeria in the Maghreb. So, and the Hoover Boeing was probably the only person who was giving Nigeria a tough time because of his francophonic alliances. But now there is nothing. ECOWAS came into being because of Nigeria. We did ECOWAS half-centenary anniversary recently with General Gawan as chairman, and I was keynote speaker there. And we were reviewing together with General Gawan for about 4 hours, reviewing how ECOWAS came about. If it didn't come out at that time, I don't think Nigeria will be able to summon the gravitas and statesmanship and diplomacy to put together now, because we can't even keep some of our brothers from staying. We can't resolve the situation in Niger. We can't resolve the one in Mali. We can't resolve in Burkina Faso. And the others who are just hanging around are just humoring us because they haven't given a thought about how to live. So on the international scene, we need to do better. Healthcare, we are bad. It's very bad in healthcare because if you look at the way we started, the UCH, University College Hospital in Ibadan, was never going to go below number 2. It's whether number 1 in the entire Commonwealth or number 2. So sometimes the hospital in London will come first and UCH will come second, or the one in Brisbane or the one in Ottawa, but we're never going to come fourth, not possible. And if you, I'm sure President Obasanjo will remember, and Pastor Etua is close enough to him to ask him, when the Queen came in the year 2000 for the Millennium visit, and they were commissioning Millennium Park in Abuja. So he was being taken around Nigeria, and but he remembered and said, what about that hospital in the woods? The beautiful hospital in the woods. And none of the people taking her, the Queen around, maybe remembered it or had anything to say, because she remembered going to see that hospital and admired that hospital mightily, UCH Ibadan. And the King of Saudi Arabia, many leaders will come to that hospital for heart bypass, or other complicated procedures, and they will say they are visiting Nigeria, but we know they were coming for medical tourism to that hospital. So, and the person who was running the university at that time, Kenneth Dike, was a historian. But you know, you cannot, where will you see Kenneth Dike now? Kenneth Dike was an exceptional person running it, and you will see Dr. Dosekun, you see Professor Dosekun, many of people, the Ogan brothers, many great hospital. And many of our hospitals follow along that line. And Massive Street Hospital in Lagos, many of the hospitals, including the hospital where I was born, the General Hospital in Ondo. So, and Lagos had the best water in the English-speaking world. If you read the colonial records, when they are giving advice, when you are going to Lagos, there are many parts of the world they will go, they will tell them to put something in the water before they will drink it, or they should not drink it at all. But in Lagos, they will say, no, you can take water from the tap in Lagos, and you will drink it. Lagos has the best water in the English-speaking world, better than London, better than Brisbane, anywhere. So it is doable, it is possible. And so when it comes to rule of law, do you have a policeman? I'm not sure. I know there are very good policemen. I've interacted with many of them. And in the course of interaction with many policemen, I realized that they really love the country. They want to serve. But almost the entire police leadership is bankrupt. They don't even know what policing is all about. They think it's about following politicians around, helping big people to oppress smaller people, robbing people at gunpoint in the name of give me money and all of that. So inability to secure the country, to investigate crimes. If you go back to what our policemen used to do, even bicycle, I've read cases of police investigation. You steal a bicycle, you throw it inside a pit, toilet, or latrine, they will find out, they will go inside, bring it out, I read a particular case of someone who was convicted, I think, in Saple, for stealing a bicycle. And when they were investigating him, he broke the bicycle into pieces and threw the pieces of the bicycle inside a pitch toilet. And the investigator, a regular police officer from the CID, went and found out and went into the pit toilet and brought out the chassis of the bicycle, and the person was convicted. Just a bicycle. Now, I don't think they spare that much thought searching for a living human being. So this is the journey so far. So, but Nigeria is like a broken down piano whose all pieces are still inside the cathedral. So if you have a good organist and a good musicologist and a good engineer, you can put it together and the piano will still play. So we haven't lost anything other than we've lost time. We've lost time, and that's the journey so far. So we are not only guilty of slow speed, in that we should have reached our destination, we are also guilty of losing direction, because even the little steps we've taken is taking adjacent to where we are going, not in the direction of where we are going. And the things that we value, the leaders that we choose, the things that we consider to be important, the signposts of achievement, are all things that you achieve by cheating, by hypocrisy, by lying, and by sheer vanity of it. So we have more people being called professors, but less articles being written in the journals. So you don't have Ayo Teriba, O Teriba, Lawal, people who are just secondary school teachers, publishing textbooks, which will be read not only in Nigeria, all over the world. To find a radio Nigeria staff writing things fall apart, age of 28. And it's been, when I was in Korea, those days of doing some arbitration cases in Korea, I went to a school and I saw that the whole school was using Chona Achebe in Korean language to learn literature. And articles like that all over the world. So we need, all of that is there. So if you go to Anambra State University, you will find people who are more brilliant than Chona Achebe there. If you go to Nnamdi Azikiwe University in Awka, you will find people more brilliant than Chinua Achebe there. If you go all over the country, go to Kano, go everywhere, you will find people more brilliant than Soyinka. It's just that the society is organized in such a way that nothing is being done. There's no leader or leadership. And when you say leader, it doesn't mean one person. It's easy to blame Tinubu because he's guilty. And you could blame Buhari, but he's dead now, so you can't blame a dead person. History will do that for you. You can't blame, or you can blame Obasanjo, it's not perfect. But the problem of the leadership is is poor across. Leadership is poor. I mean, you are a man of the cloth. You know how you struggle with your pastors. Because you can be a pastor now without being a Christian. You can be a bishop without being a Christian. You can be a general overseer without being a Christian. And you can be a chief imam without being Muslim. Because everything about you is not Islamic, but you are holding the position. You can be a professor without being an academic, because it's just a title for you to go and claim something or to massage your ego. You can be a senior advocate, a judge, without knowing justice, without paying your workers. You can be molesting and harassing your domestic staff and you are a chief justice, and nobody cares. You don't have a sense of justice, but you are the one presiding over justice for the whole country. So you can have a senior police officer who steals, who still steals. You are to catch thief, but you are actually a thief. So, but there are opportunities. So the journey so far, what you are doing is to have us take account, not a blame game. It's to have us take account of where we are and where we are and why we are here. And to see that we started the journey October 1, 1960. We started a journey on food. But we didn't work diligently. We were just joking around with it. So we haven't got to the destination. But luckily for us, the journey that was started on food, we now have cars to continue. We have aircraft to continue. So with these platforms that are available now, you can catch up quickly. In 5 years, you will go back. Any state governor can beat Awolowo in 5 years, because Awolowo did not have all these tools. And if you speak to our elders in the past, to print books in Kaduna and carry to Dekina, in the whole of northern Nigeria, there were not up to 70 kilometers of tarred roads. But the books will get there. If you kill somebody anywhere in Zungeru, or you kill somebody in Mubi, or you kill somebody anywhere in Bama or anywhere, the state council in Kaduna will come and catch you and prosecute you there, even though there were no tarred roads. Now you can kill somebody inside the villa, they are not going to investigate. We've had 2 deaths in the villa. That of Abacha and that of Yaradua was in office. There's no published account. There's no accountability. There's nobody saying, we investigate, everybody just speculating what happened, what happened. So it's just that somnambulistic way. It's like sleepwalking. So we are a government that is sleepwalking. We're people that is also clapping for the person who is sleepwalking. And when the sleepwalking person finishes 4 years, we find another person who's also sleepwalking, we put him there. Because when elections come, when we're making choices, none of these issues we are litigating, lamenting about, agitating about, none of them do we put into consideration when we're making our choices. We put other factors into consideration. So those are the things which I think is the journey so far. I don't know if I'm overshooting the time, but the whole idea of what we are reviewing is to show that, yes, because of the ingenuity of some Nigerians, because we are lucky to be born to be around an age of technological advancement, some of which are low-hanging technological advancements, we have managed so far to be able to take advantage of technology. That is why I can sit in Abuja and give a speech to this august gathering, and people can join. It's not as if our government play a particular, it's not something that they put in mind and say, okay, we must provide this for our people. It's available in our age and time, and we are taking advantage of it. But if we organize ourselves together and put government together, we'll be able to do it. And one of the areas where we have failed most spectacularly is in the local governments, because we have killed our local governments. And because we kill our local governments, we are not able to organize ourselves together to solve local problems. And because the local problems are festering, and the people who run our states, the governors that we've got since 1999, by now I believe we've got close to 300 governors since 1999. And none of them is outstanding. None. So, no, the one of them that people thought, okay, managed to put something together in Lagos was, people will argue among themselves whether Tinubu did well in Lagos or whatever. It would be okay, they brought some stability. It has come to the center now and appears to be totally lost. Akwa Ibom, series of governors have managed to transform Akwa Ibom. I think if we are to talk about the most transformed state in Nigeria, it would be Akwa Ibom, because I know what it was in 1998. under the last military administrator. So Victor Atta managed to, the architect, managed to envision what the state will look like, and he put some effort into fighting for resource control so that resources can come. You can't say that of Delta, for example. You can't say that of even Rivers. You can't say that of Bayelsa, complete disaster. So, but even in Akwa Ibom, they are catching up, but they could have done far, far better in terms of growing the GDP, in terms of what they spend money on. I think a few of their governors decided to use their money to do national politics, and they wasted a lot of it. But if you go around the country, I'm sorry, it's tough. So there are a few governors who are picking up little by little. So maybe those are good signs. It is difficult to speak contemporarily about somebody doing well, because next day you will hear something in the news that's going to break your heart. But when I see a bit of work going on in Enugu, I'm impressed. That okay, the man in Enugu appear to want to do something, and I'm seeing a bit of state enterprises. The best airline in Nigeria today is a privately owned airline. I mean, it's a state-owned airline that you will, if you travel internationally, as I do, and many people do, if you come home and you see an airline that if you're coming with a foreign guest and you say, well, I can book this airline and I won't regret it much, it's owned by a state government. So pick a few things like that. And I think one of the tragedies of our 1999 to date journey was a mistake, in my own humble opinion, and I've raised it with him respectfully, and we disagree on that. It's how Obasanjo sold everything. The idea that you can sell NEPA, sell Nigeria Airways, sell shipping, sell everything, sell National Insurance Corporation in a developing country that hasn't got an alternative to it. There's no pre-existing private sector equivalence. Even the US has not sold Fannie Mae. They haven't sold that. So you don't do that. So that's is part of the reason why we have massive infrastructural challenge, we have massive savings challenge, we have massive unemployment, and we don't have where to train people. Because in those days, if you finish school, you join NEPA, they will train you, raise you. Many engineers produce there. Pele, Shomolu, many people were great products of NEPA that they know this industry very well. Whiskey Tango, our Nigeria Airways, produced so many captain, so many of them that you captain, people like Elendu, if you remember Captain Elendu, many of them, many captains produced, and then the shipping lines, the insurance, with so many people. So you have somewhere to go and work. And then we destroy the public works department. So any state government, if you see them in front of the camera trying to either commission or start a 10-kilometer road, you will see one Lebanese person standing next to them. Even simple work that they could do with their public works department, they will not. They don't have. I have more equipment inside my company. You don't do that. The entire Ministry of Works. I asked them. Inside my compound, I have more Caterpillar equipment, other crane inside a private house than they have in the works department in Akure. So with that, and what have we benefited from privatization? Are the services working? That's the problem. People look at you, some people have gotten richer out of it, but are the services working? Have we been able to solve our electricity problem? We haven't solved our telecommunication problem because most of the carriers are still relying on Nitel exchange and all of that. They can't make the necessary investment. So that will be required to carry broadband across the country. They can't, because the private sector will not do backbone investment. And if now we're generating electricity, and what has happened is that many of discos cannot offtake because they can't make the investment. They will rely on you to buy your own transformer, buy a few things, the customer. So that structure, it would have been better. But I understand about Obasanjo's argument is that, yes, I know these things, but I don't have the people who are going to run them. Because earlier, I made investment. I made investment in the past. And when I came back as a civilian president, they've mismanaged all of them. But the job is not to completely throw them away, especially sell them for cheap and give them to some of those who killed them in the first place. The idea is to reconstitute and raise new Nigerians who are going to now man these enterprises and then grow industries out of them. So there are many things we can do. And I don't want to look at this journey from differentials in manifesto, because everybody in the country, every politician can't believe in the same manifesto. So somebody can say, I believe in privatization, and others I don't believe in it. Somebody like me, I believe in a mixed economy, where we raise public resources to do certain things, and anything that can be done on the private side, you can do it. But what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to have a sector that is only public. Every sector, including defense, every sector, including law enforcement, private participants are welcome. But what I will never do is transfer public assets to you. Obasanjo just started with trying to transfer some Benue cement, Kalago cement to Dangote, try to sell Port Harcourt refinery to Dangote. But all that did not work. After all, now Dangote has built his own cement factory. He has built his own refinery. So you don't need privatization. Doesn't mean you carry assets of the public and give to the private person. No, you privatize the industry, the sector, not the enterprises. Privatization of government enterprises is wrong. What you need is to open the sector. So the government is doing it, you are doing it. So right now, you have Akwa Ibom State has its own airline, Enugu has its own airline, Cross River has its own airline, and there are private airlines. So they will be competing. And then you will see it. Some area they cooperate, some area they compete. Right now, we have the public refineries. Then we have the private refineries. Dangote has launched its own. Boa is doing his own. There's another one, Watersmith, already in Imo State. And all of that going on. And the market is not saturated. You do not talk about duplication. No, because you cannot have only one thing being carrying you. You need redundancies. And anyone who cannot compete will divert to other area. The important thing is open. If you look at what Babangida did with telecommunication, with broadcasting, he did not privatize NTA. He did not sell NTA to Dokwesi or to Ibinedion or to John Mama or to me.
To Adebayo.
You liberalize, you can come to that sector. But NTA will continue, and Captain TV will continue, channels will continue, Arise will continue, AIT will continue. Then based on the viewership, based on other things, we'll now know which one people like or the other. And there are some programs that a private TV station will not carry because it doesn't bring money. NTA will carry it and report it because they are serving the public. So there is the principle going forward that many sectors, including defense, making drones, making armor tanks, making things that we need. We will welcome private sector into it under government regulation, but we are not in fact going to take any government institution, something built with public money, and give it to private people. I think that is unconstitutional and it's not fair. So those are the changes we can make. Hello, sir.
We're coming up on the hour, and I think, can you hear me? I think we should just vote for you.
We couldn't hear you earlier, but it feels like it's better now.
Yeah. I think we're coming up on the hour, and we don't want to listen. I'm sure some people have some questions they want to ask.
Okay, so let me just round up in 2 or 3 minutes. Basically, because I was waiting for this queue, I didn't want to give up, and I didn't want to speak beyond the time. The key issue is that the journey so far is clear to us, and a lot of the journey is in our hand. Just look at it in history. We call something periodization. If you want to periodize, the most current epoch is 1999, May 29, 1999 to date. That is 26 years. Is equivalent of the journey from Tafawa Balewa Nnamdi Azikiwe in October 1, 1960 to October 1986, when Babangida was introducing SAP. So you could see that the journey that we made from 1960, First Republic, the first coup, second coup, all the Kawan years, Murtala years, the Civil War, Murtala years, Obasanjo years, Shagari, the whole of Buhari, Shagari beginning of second term, the whole of Buhari, all the journeys we made is equivalent in time period from the journey we made in 1999 when Obasanjo came to now. So if, therefore, we use these periods as corrective years, there is none of the problems we had from 1960 to then that we should still be with us now. And now we should not take the next 26 years. If you are 26 years of my age, I will still be in my 70s, which means God giving the grace with a lot of prayers from Pastor Itua and his colleagues, and with me taking care of myself and minding my business and the will of God, we will still be active in the service of the country. And any young person today who is 20 years old, who decides to say, I want to give my life to Nigeria and do my best, will still be 46 years old. And those who are 30 years old now will still be 56 years old. So we can solve all these problems in our lifetime. And there are only scratches on the skin of Nigeria. There is no damage that is so deep. There's no skeletal damage. There's no organ damage. What we have are just walking in the bush and having scratches all over. We may be bleeding, but with a little care, we can solve most of this problem, and the future can be quite bright.
I like your enthusiasm. I like your optimism. And I like the fact that God permitting you, especially, God length of time, 20-something years, which also you and so we look forward to that. I pray that I'm in good and still alive by that time. And then we can see this in Nigeria. Well, let's take a few questions. Thank you very, very much for that. Very instructive, very strong, very deliberate. And I'm going to ask Pastor Sonny to conduct the Q&A. And yes, you can see everybody clapping for you. I think they enjoyed thoroughly. And that's why I like
you give me 30 seconds to get some light on, because the picture is getting dark here. Okay, but I'm around. Yes.
All right.
Pastor, absolutely brilliant presentation.
Yeah. Any questions?
You know, he has very, very good historical knowledge of Nigeria, and he has put it in very, very good perspective.
Okay. Okay, so Okay, so where are you, Sonny?
You say?
Are you able to do the Q&A or where are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm good now, but I'm giving him time to come back. I was just talking about his presentation that it was brilliant.
Yeah, very, very, insightful, knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable, very, very
That's my
knowledgeable.
name's
And he has,
Okay, so I'm going to hand you over to Pastor Sonny to conduct the Q&A. There are a few hands up already who want to ask
okay.
some questions. But we may not have too much time for that because of the amount of time we've spent already. But I'm sure Henry Kentebe, Joseph Fallonshaw, Ibrahim Abashi, who is very passionate about this thing. And I hope
Okay.
Ibrahim, you can take this forward. You know, you and I had a conversation. It's not just submission. But really, those 4 questions first, then we can take it from there. Sonny, over to you, please.
All right. Thank you very much, Pastor. Prince Adebayo, well done. That was a very, very brilliant historical presentation.
Thank you.
I think we are going to put this up on the internet for people that want to learn a bit about history. Just listening to you will give them a lot of perspective on the evolution of how we have come since independence. Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
So
sir.
we'll take questions. Joseph Folorunshaw, Brian Abashe, Funke Awolowo. There was somebody before Joseph.
It's me, Henry Kentebe.
Okay, Henry Kentebe, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pastor Sonny. Prince Adebayo, thank you so much for coming, for joining us to shed more light about our journey as a nation, what we are doing right, what we are struggling with, and your historical perspective, your ideology. It's so brilliant. You know, nobody can say it better. You know, I'm speaking from Toronto, Ontario, and I just have a few contribution as well. I can understand. I think you try to talked about some of the mistakes Obasanjo made, and maybe because you are coming from a social ideological base, you might think that maybe he didn't do some things right. I think at that time that was right for Nigeria to actually move us away from more government, because most of these military are more or less conservative in nature. They don't believe anything in government. They prefer to make it private, so that that was why they talk about decentralization, deregulation, and what have you. It's just to take government away from businesses. So I just want to point out that. And then one other thing that I want to also say is that our biggest problem and why we are not developing, we are not productive, is the unitary system that we are practicing. You also made mention of the fact that federal government is the best example of government in Nigeria. That is actually true, and it's just because the base is weak. You know, it is like a command chain military system where you have the federal government and the rest, the federating unit, are just trying to get their feet. That's why the states, they just rely on the federal government for everything. The local government is a complete mess.
People are interested in your question. They are getting a bit restless. Do you have a question?
No,
Just
it's just a contribution.
Okay,
And
right.
it's just a contribution. So we don't also have a database. That is a major problem of Nigeria. You can see that the National Identity Management Commission or something, it has taken them 20 years to register a quarter of Nigerians. It's not rocket science. It can be done in give it to all these young boys, IT boys. They'll give us a national database in few months. What are we doing? The reason
Okay.
and it's unimaginable that we have this talent and we are struggling with basic things. National database we cannot even get,
Okay. Henry,
what
don't be
also
angry, please. You know, we
Yeah.
are up on time, so I'm just trying to take in as many people.
You know,
Please.
the guest has spent so much time, and I'm just trying to marry everything together. One of that
No, you
critical
don't
thing.
take everything. Just take one piece. And
I know.
Yeah.
I have a bullet point. Please just bear with me. Just indulge me for this. Just one minute. We don't. The lack of ideology is the reason why we are struggling politically. It's so sad that we cannot even copy democracy. We are just in civilian rule, like we rightly said. We can't even practice democracy. You know, you are more of a left. Some of us are more to the right. Some are to the middle. Some are to the extreme of both sides. You know, so we have to find a way to make sure that our politics is more ideological, so that we can, solve some of these basic problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please. I appeal to everyone else. Please. There are so many hands up and time is fast spent. If you can just go straight to your question or a comment, 1 minute max, tops. I appeal to you, please. I know you have a lot to say, but we cannot exhaust it. So just go straight to the point, either a question or a comment, 60 seconds max, and we are done. Joseph Olorunso, thank you. You allow Joseph Olorunso to unmute.
We've asked him to unmute, and I set the timer as well.
Okay. He has not unmuted. Okay, Abashi, Pastor Abashi, my brother, go ahead, sir. Allow Pastor Abashi to unmute.
Pastor who?
Hello, Joseph.
Okay, Joseph, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prince. Thank you very much. God continue to bless to Pastor Itwa for this section. My question is just this, Prince, and everybody here. When do you think, the Prince, when do you think will we sit down, started regarding human being as human being in Nigeria? I'm saying this because I'm a journalist. I'm equally a criminologist. I have opportunity to go to prison to see a lot of our wonderful Nigeria. If you look at the charge sheets of almost 99% of some people in the prison, apart from people that have been charged for murder or that thing, it is like the charge is like complete wickedness of the highest. You think we can do that? Will we train our security agency, especially the whether case of felony or misdemeanor, you sit down, investigate.
All right. Thank you. I think what can we do to have more equitable?
That you need to just talk to the people instead of any smart. If they know that they don't need police, only good court. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm sure most part of your question got lost, but I think he got the first part. So I'll allow Abashia to speak, and then we'll take answers to that, and we'll allow the others to speak quickly.
Thank you. I want to stand on the existing comments. Thank you for your presentation. Two questions I have for you, sir. Number one is about the political party. And you are part of SDP, and you spoke very well about SDP. One problem we found is that time and time again, to get access to power, you have to go through a political party. But most of the parties we see, they are just political contraption. They just come, they aspire for power, they get power, it becomes a different thing. APC is a good case study. You know, SDP hasn't gotten power yet and all of that. You've talked about some of the internal contradictions. You know, how can, some of us have lost faith in political parties, and we need political parties to access power to bring governance. Do you think with what you say, you are able to maintain what you have said? I'm very impressed about what you said about SDP. I mean, consider it. But do you think with some of the contradictions you find, even people sabotaging you as a presidential candidate, we can be able to really have a party that can serve well and that, some of us can join? And then the second question has to do with your mixed economy. You talked about mixed economy. I'm rushing. I will have broken it better. I have problems with what you said, because you said that for instance, the refineries, they've invested 1.5 billion under Mele Kyari. It's still not working, and you will still keep them and be paying salary. Is that how you think? Or when you see something is not working, we do something about it. I'll stop there.
All right. Thank you very much. Prince Adebayo, do you want to respond quickly to those first three?
My answer will be quick, given the fact that I took majority of the time. Basically, let's start with justice. Justice has two dimensions. One is law. The other one is economy. Law, once you have a president who believes in justice, the Attorney General, the Attorney General of the states, or a governor that believes in justice, will look into it. Under our own system, the police will be under the Attorney General. There will not be a police department on its own. And they will not misuse law enforcement. They will not misuse prosecution. Secondly, even as it is today, anybody you find in prison for these minor offenses is because they can't afford a lawyer. So the public defender department will make sure that that's their job. Because any of these people in prison have gone to prison to bring hundreds out. And basically, some of them, they ask them to pay a fine. Nobody comes to pay the fine. Some of them, basic things like that. Some of the offenses that people are suffering for are things which a young lawyer can handle. That is regarding that. When it comes to the issue of mixed economy, you have no, in our own book, you have to do a mixed economy because the public sector has to work. Even the Dangote refinery, Bua refinery, Watersmith refinery, if you don't maintain them, after a while, they will collapse. The discos, now they are running the electricity. Transformer will get busted. They don't go there and do anything about it, even though they're private sector. Many airlines have closed down because they won't maintain their aircraft. So it is not only the public sector that can fail. Private sector too can fail. It's the general culture of maintenance. The money that they said they spent on the refinery was not spent on the refinery. It was used for politics. It is not the refinery that is refusing to work. It is that there's no government that is doing it. So it is not the mixed economy that is wrong. It is that people are stealing. We didn't have a good government. Once you have a good government, it's going to work. With respect to a political party, there is nothing guaranteed in human beings. It's just that the more you train people, the more you orientate them, the more they are there for the country and not for themselves, the better they behave. There is no political party that cannot govern well. The ANC, why were they united? They were united because they were committed to removing apartheid. They were committed to getting out of the discrimination of the black man. But when ANC got to power and there's no white man anymore, their quality started dwindling. So you won't compare Mandela to the person who is there now. So, and it's a continuous leadership that we need to give. There's nothing guaranteed.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, for keeping it brief. Okay, we'll take the next three. I will call Jumoke to take them, and she will continue with the Q&A. Jumoke, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, sir. Good to see you again. And I must also applaud your consistency. I first heard you 3 years ago. Your message has stayed the same. Your transparency and your integrity has really maintained. You have stayed on the same message. So I thank you for that consistency and for bringing a lot of integrity into politics. So we have a few questions that were sent to me by Executive Secretary, but I'll allow others to ask the question before I ask mine. Pastor Funke, please go ahead. Please, we are sticking to 1 minute, and I think I put up the timer. So please go ahead with your question.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening. Thank you. That's actually a whole textbook you just gave us, a whole chapter. I want to ask, and I'm looking at everything that you said, but I feel that we need some more aggression because you see, the people need a political party to fight for them. So I just feel that yes, you have soundness in understanding and all that, but I think the style needs a bit of a little bit more, action, so that the people can be liberated. Secondly, you said, you made it easy that all we have to do is just rebuild that piano. But I feel that we are looking at the aftermath of war, especially when you look at the north, the places that have to be relocated, they have to go and find new settlements, and, their whole, on this side, we're still quietly, quite okay, but on that side, even in the East, there's a lot of rebuilding and strategies that we must infuse. Can you talk more about that? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for keeping the time. I appreciate that. Going to call on Auntie Yemisi. Please go ahead and unmute, Ma. I'll start the timer now. Go ahead, Ma.
Good evening, Prince. It's always good to see you. This is Miss Ransom Kuti here. As we say, the struggle continues. Don't ever give up. Once again, a brilliant lecture. I was in the SDP myself, so I related to the comments you made about the challenges of loyalty, of retention, and temptations and betrayal and all of that. And I think it's probably the same in every other party. My question is, what kind of system can we put in place to ensure that people belong to political parties, either by recruiting them, ensuring that from college or from whatever system? How do we ensure that the citizens are active inside whatever political party they choose to go into? Because I think the fear of politics, the fear of maybe violence and the label of corruption has desensitized or made a lot of people feel antagonistic towards politics itself. So what recommendations do we have for us to be able to ensure that people are enthusiastically join political parties from a very early age, so that within the system we can begin to implement and experiment with some of these ideas that you have espoused this evening? Let me thank you once again for your brilliance and for your tenacity and for your strength of character. We need more of you, and we hope that one day we will get the right, not just at the presidential level, but at all levels of government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I had another hand up, but I think that hand dropped. And then I'm sorry if I do not know how to pronounce your name. Eniabitobi. Please go ahead with your question. Okay. And then if you can take those three, then we'll take the last two. Please go ahead. We've asked you to unmute.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Great exposition and history. I'm interested in knowing what can be done to bring back the local government to life, because you said that they have been killed. And this is important because grassroots, in order to bring about change, we have to look at the grassroots. And I mentor youths and teenagers, and it would be very nice to be able to provide them with information that can help them to begin to look at, when they get out, what they can do to begin to bring back what, you said has been killed. Thank you so much.
Thank you for keeping it brief. Do you want to take those three questions and then we take the last set of questions?
Thank you. Well, on the first question, I thank you all for your kind sentiments. The first question is how to make the party more aggressive. yes, you see, we're a conservative society. The message has to be clear first before we try to push. It is true that you want to liberate the people, but they need to get the message of what is at stake. There are more aggressive political parties that have people who are fighting for injustice in this country, and they are demonstrating on the streets and everything. And somehow people still end up blaming them and say they're too aggressive, they are not gentle enough. So we thought that the best thing to do is to get the message to everybody. So you reduce the number of people you have to protest against. So if everybody gets the memo that the ship is about sinking, they won't be asking you, why are you asking us now to jettison some excess weight? But if you don't tell people that the ship is about to sink, if you are throwing them things out, they will say you are wasteful. Why are you throwing things off the boat? Or you are being malicious. So we thought that let's educate first, then the aggression will come later. Second has to do with the question around young people being recruited into politics. It's about getting the ideology and going to meet them when they are young. I joined the SDP at the age of 19, and I still remain in the SDP now. And I believe that many 19-year-olds, I was at Ife studying law when I joined Bishop Street in Lagos, in Ipeju, Lagos. I joined and I was going to Jakande's house and Dr. Finney and so many of the leaders around there. So I believe that we'll go around the campuses, we'll have a youth leader, and that's his job, not to organize talks. Our own youth leader does not organize talks. Our own youth leader goes and have the what we call the Young Democrats. So when we start to go to the Young Democrats, from there they're going to become. I remember my first business in SDP was posting the posters of Atiku. At that time, because I didn't support Abiola in the primaries, I thought Atiku was a younger person at that time. And then they went to Jos. I wasn't a delegate, I was just a small boy. We went to Jos, and Abiola and Kigibe won. And I started posting the posters of Abiola and Kigibe all over Lagos. That was my contribution. Nobody gave me any money, nobody talked to me, and like that. So we will do that for young people, and that, I believe it will work for us if we follow that method. Now, all other things that we want to do, especially dealing with local government, it requires that people in the local communities show interest in their local governments. Because if you ask somebody who's the president of Nigeria, they will tell you Tinubu, and is a this, is a that. It's the reason why my gutter is smelling. But if you ask them who is the councillor in your local government, they will not know who the councillor is. So people have to show interest. And the most difficult election to read is the councillor election, because almost everybody in the area knows everybody. So we just want people to show interest. They are rigging the elections, mismanaging it, because the political class only see local government as a source of allocation. That money, you will see the fight between APC and PDP in Osun, APC and that party elsewhere. They are all governors forum, all fighting over local government money. But the local people need to pay attention to local government around them. And many of our people are serving in a neighborhood association, contributing money to construct gates, to keep vigilante. They are contributing money in estates, in resident association. Why don't you use that effort to take over your local government and show interest and spend public funds that you already contributed to your taxes and natural resources? That is where we should start.
Thank you so much, sir. I believe you're ready for the last set of questions. If we can ask Mr. or Ms. Adebayo to please go ahead, unmute, ask your question, and then I will take Ms. Adewole Sime and Professor Grange. Please go ahead with your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Prince Adebayo. My name is Niriti Adebayo. I love your in-depth knowledge of our history, and they're very insightful. I'm a child of history myself. I'm born into a political family. However, I would like to ask, what would you do to strengthen our institutions in Nigeria? So we all travel out of the country, we respect the police, we respect their taxation system, we do all of that, but we have not strengthened ours here. So as a prospective president, what will you do? What would you put in process to ensure that our institutions, are strengthened, they are disciplined, they are of the quality that one would expect, and they can globally compete? That's one. Secondly, while we're growing up, civics was a subject we all loved, and it taught us about our institutions, it taught us about our history, and governance and all that. So we took pride, in our nation. So now what would you do to ensure that we return these subjects to schools so that our children will learn about our country and about the polity as a whole? Those were just the two questions I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you for keeping it brief. Please go ahead, Ms. Osime.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Prince. Your presentation was brilliant. But I must beg to differ in the sense that too much water has gone under the bridge. We reach a point where the decent person that is disciplined we can hardly find them coming to say they want to take up leadership position. So what I believe is we need a strong man or woman that can whip people into place to shape them up. That's the stage we have reached now. We cannot handle things with kids' glove anymore. We have too many bad eggs that are already in there, and they've amassed so much wealth that they're not ready to give up. They will do anything to stay in power. So I think we have to look for an action plan. It has to be something a bit aggressive, I'm sorry to say, because most people don't have understanding. The average Nigerian don't have understand that anything they do wrong is going to backfire, is going to come back on them. So you need people to shape them or make them understand. It has to be a bit with aggression, I'm not saying killing people or whatever, but we need somebody who is disciplined, who can take up this mantle that, look, we want Nigeria to move forward. And once people start seeing things moving forward and having changes at the bottom level with the masses, they will now start to shape up. And then we can now start to build a situation. I can't remember which country is doing it. I think maybe France or whatever, where you have a situation where people are nurtured into leadership position. Then you can go to any party you want, but we know them, we know their background, we know their antecedents. I think that's the stage we are reached. No decent person, with what happened with Dr. Aso Ighodalo, no decent person is going to come out to say they want to be in leadership. That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Professor Grange, please go ahead. I start the timer now. You will hear that everyone hears the sound. Go ahead, Ma. We've asked you to unmute.
Thank you very much, Prince. Thank you so much for that exposition. And it gives us the impression that, yes, there are still some honest people around in Nigeria. But of course, I'm not surprised that your party was not favored, because quite frankly, what has been happening is that honest people are not, they cannot get on, they cannot really get to where we will have them in leadership positions. Having said that, my question actually relates to the issue of the health sector. You mentioned UCH that was started, and it was first class, and now it's gone down. It's not the only hospital, of course, that has not been performing well. Practically the whole sector has not performed well. And I would like you to look at it from the point of view of the Constitution. Constitutional requirements for performance of the health sector and other sectors says that the responsibilities are on both federal and state. Without going further and actually letting them know what will be the consequences if they fail to, if they fail to perform their responsibilities. So thank you. I would like you to look at the Constitution, please. And knowing that
Thank
that is
you very much.
wondering
Yeah.
about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. So I'm going to add 2 questions, and if you can take all together as part of your closing remarks, sir. I know we've kept you here for a very long time, so thank you for indulging us. So the question from our executive secretary is: if you become president today, who would you select to be your ministers? And the part 2 question is: would you wait 8 months, or will you wait 6 months like Buhari did to select your ministers? So if you can add those to your questions, with your closing remark as part of those questions, would appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Let me start with institution. There's this debate. It's part of this like this. It's akin to the chicken and egg debate. If you remember, I think Obama added fuel to the discussion in Africa when he went to Ghana to address the parliament, and he said, Africa does not need to bring strong men. We need to build strong institutions. And I didn't agree with him. Like many things, I don't agree with Obama. I didn't agree with him on that. I said, look, first you need people to build institutions. It is the consistent and successive behavior and pattern and processes that individuals in leadership build that become concretized into institution. What FBI is today was what J. Edgar Hoover built it to become. Spent 32 years there before FBI became character. And if you look at what Trump is doing with the FBI now, with the person he puts there, you will know that the individuals matter to build institutions. So for Nigeria, we will build institutions when we have committed, strong people in leadership that go there and build institutions. And based on the power of example, imagine if someone runs the police with someone like MD Yusuf. When we had MD Yusuf, if every police leader was like MD Yusuf, Nigerian police will not have Tafawa Balogun and will not have Egbetokun. You have the MD Yusuf type of person. And that is kind of leadership matters in building institutions. Now, if you go to dealing with civics, we need civics, we need social studies. We need to incorporate it into our entire citizenship requirement. So in my own curriculum development, it will be called citizenship study. Because before somebody can fail as president or as a minister or as a governor, they will have failed as a citizen. So because we transport people who don't obey laws as citizens, we make them leaders. People who have never paid their taxes before are becoming minister of finance. People who have never been honest, who are doing all sorts of crime, are now in charge of Justice Department and all of that. So you need to be the highest office in the land. The most important office in the land is the office of citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if you build good citizens, then they will be able to deal with that. Now, because many people are criticizing leaders now, if you put a CCTV camera in their neighborhood, you'll be surprised. So social critic who throws things inside the car after he has taken a bottle of drinks, he throws the drinks up there. If he, so that's small examples like that. So now we are dealing with health sector, how to build institution. It's basically about investment. It's about prioritization. When we're running those institutions, we prioritize education. A professor earns more money, more than a politician. And we pay attention. And your living wage will actually make you live. So it is in politics, you express priority by spending. You don't allow politicians to express priority by the microphone. He can tell you, I love education, I love healthcare, I love this, but when he's in power, when he's doing the budget, like they are doing the budget now, like the last 25 budgets we've done, emphasis is somewhere else. They put the money in the hand of politicians, They put money in the wrong thing and all of that. Now, that is how we're going to build our critical infrastructure back, by putting the money there, not putting the money in politics. And it starts with, don't raise too much money in politics. The amount of money that people put in politics today can never lead to good government, because people give people 20 billion naira, $1 million, $10 million. They invest massively in politics. And what they have captive sectors given to them. Somebody said that we could not run his parastatals because it will cost too much money to build. That's not true. Even the private refineries that we build, government put a lot of foreign exchange to back them to do it. Government put a lot of support to back them to do it. And there are so many things that they didn't do right that the government supported them and waited for them. So let us understand that a general spirit of enterprise will make some people, they can build refineries, they can build roads, but they don't want to work for themselves. They want to use their talent for the politics. So we must be able to run things within the country, within the government, and outside the government. Now, I've been asked to address the issue of a strong leader. Strength is not the same thing as aggression. You can have an aggressive leader who is aggressively wicked, aggressively hypocritical. They will jail you for finding $500 in your pocket. They will shame you left hand and leg and put you in prison, but they will be hiding billions. So Abacha set up Fair Bank Tribunal. And when they were picking people who work in the bank, locking them up, but he was stealing all that money. So when they brought Buhari in circa 2014, 2015, I was arguing, what's the definition of Buhari was meant to be a strong man because of what he did with Idi Agbon and flogging people on the street and all of that. But if you look at the Idi Agbon regime, the Buhari Idi Agbon regime, a lot of indiscipline inside that government, but they were just terrorizing the citizen. So Idi Agbon said, nobody should go to Mecca unless you're an adult, but he went to Mecca with his son. And so many things like that. So what I'm bringing out is that you don't need a leader who is just, it is easy to terrorize people, but self-discipline is what is more difficult. So however aggressive you are as a leader, you need competence. You need to know what is going on. Even if you are going to whip people with koboko, your hand cannot whip everybody across the country. You have to appoint a minister in charge of koboko, permanent secretary in charge of koboko, and they'll go and whip the wrong people and let the right people go. So I think what we need is a leader that knows how to select other leaders. If your self-righteousness is what you are trying to sell in government, you will not succeed. You must be able to select other people who are even more righteous than you, who are even more devoted than you, and who are willing to sacrifice more than you. And the idea that there are no good people in Nigeria, I don't agree with it. I used to have that notion until I entered full politics. And I see people who are sacrificing who don't know me at all. I go to Zamfara, I go to Sokoto, I go to Kebbi. I'm hearing stories that break my heart of people feeding people in their houses, people selling their things to support my candidature. They don't know me. People trekking and doing all sorts of things. And I've seen others that are disappointing me. Party leaders who just want to buy Land Cruisers and all of that with party money, and then creating scenario where money will come. But there are also people using their personal houses, doing a lot of things. Women making wrappers, contributing money together. I went to Newman, I saw what people were doing there. They were waiting for me for 9 hours in the sun. They get nothing from it. So Nigerians are still there who are willing to do what is right. It is just that the leadership in England, if there are up to 55 intelligent people, they will find all of them, and they will have 50 of them in their cabinet. And if they have 2 million idiots, not more than one will find his way mistakenly to government and they'll catch him. But in Nigeria, you could have 5 million patriotic, intelligent, competent people, and they will eliminate all of them from coming to power. And they will do interview A friend of mine, I want to tell you the story without taking your time. A friend of mine, a Swiss, German, came to my house and said, I will never support Nigerian sports anymore. I said, Hans, why? You've spent 30 years of your life doing it. Say yes. That they were trying to choose a coach for the national team. And they came to him and said he should do a study of the best 5 coaches. And he took his time, he went around and did the top 5 coaches and gave the analysis. The NFF did not select any of them. They did not even invite any of them. He found out that the reason why they asked him to do the study was to eliminate those who could come and compete with their candidate in the interview. So he said, I'm done with these people. So we have people. I don't want us to say we have people. The job of the leadership is to ensure that you find them and make sure. But if your aim is to do what is right, you will select people who are right. If your aim is to accumulate enough money and become the capo di tutti of politics with enough money, with enough, then you will find people who are supposedly ministers, but they're actually your deck agents to trade within inside trade. That's why you can have a 35 trillion, the 3.5 trillion budget, 30 trillion budget, and you're just not calculating because you are circulating the money for your next politics. It's not that there are no good people. We have an abundance of people that we can use. Now, the question of whether we are going to wait. No, you cannot wait to be elected and you are waiting 8 months to choose your cabinet. The reason why Buhari did it, one, because Buhari naturally was a slow person. Secondly, it wasn't him doing it. He was having a college of those who help him and say, you bring this person, you bring that person. And he didn't know whether this one is a dunce or this person is a thief. He didn't care. All he needed was that he knew those whom he owed obligations, who helped him to get there. And he needed to take representative members from each of them. So if you come from your state and you give me the dullest person, if that's what you want, I have to choose that person. And then sometimes there are factions and fighting among themselves. So I don't know why Tinubu would not be able to do that, but he himself didn't do it. And when it turned out to set it up, he said, damn squib. So we don't see what is done with it. But a good leader, in my own time, I'm elected president, right now, I have people manage different aspects of the economy for me. So, and they know that whoever is going to be Minister of Finance will come from within that. And if none of them wants to be, for any reason, if we're balancing, they know how to select. So we have our cabinet to be ready. It will be announced. And in our case, we are going to put the portfolio when we are nominating the ministers. We're going to put the portfolio there. But I'm not stopping with the ministers. I'm also looking at the permanent secretaries and directors. So it is not too much for me as president to know every director in the ministry, because in every ministry, they don't have more than 20 directors. There are other directors that are more of research and other things, but directors that are active in running the government, there are people at directorate level who are not performing that function, but those who are performing that function will be in interaction. All of us will be in one loop, because it is not just at the level. Many of the government policies goes wrong from level of deputy director. The same thing with controller of roads and all of that. So many of the things we are doing at ministry level are supposed to be done at controller level. It is the controller who's supposed to be in charge of paving roads. It's not, you see Umahi every day, jumping up and down in front of camera. That's not your job. Your job is policy, is planning. The supervision, how can you say a minister, only my personal engineering knowledge is going to know whether a road is being constructed properly or not? What do you have the career engineers there? Why do you have the federal controller of roads and other people? So those are the things that we're going to do differently. If there's any of the message I didn't capture or question, it can be react, but I'm trying to collapse everything together so that the platform doesn't quit on us when it will run out of time. But the key issue is to ensure that none of these problems is as problematic as we think. The problem is that we are not solving the problem. So it's like a maths class with a simple quadratic equation. If we're all singing and clapping and joking, and we're not solving them on the board, They will say maths is difficult to solve, but nobody is solving the problem. Nigeria problem is principally that of neglect. People want to be in power, but they don't want to be in governance because governance is tough. That's why government is not responsible for anything. And it's also part of why it's easy for people to say, let's privatize. They don't want to be responsible for anything. They don't want to run dams. They don't want to run schools. They don't want to run airports. They don't want to run anything. They just want to reign without governing. That is the problem. And we're going to change that.
Thank you so much. I'm going to bring up Mr. President to close. But before I do that, I also just want to take a few announcements for ALG. We meet here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Same Zoom link, different topic. And thank you, sir. You did bring up our School of Leadership and Governance, and we do have a lot of courses there. We have the Citizens Awareness or the Citizens Responsibility course. We just graduated our third cohort. And one of the programs or initiatives that I'm really excited about is the youth leadership training for local government that we're also working on. So if anyone is interested in coming alongside us on that one, please put your contact information in the chat and we will reach out to you. We're looking to start that at the end of the year or early next year. So, and then we also have other programs here at ALG that you can get involved in. I had put a link in the chat room earlier on for you to fill that form, and we'll have your contact information and send more information to you. A couple of weeks ago, we started the Do the Right Thing campaign. We'll probably put more information about that. We have information about that we'll be sharing with you as well. So thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you, Prince. We're hoping for your presidential candidacy soon and for you to actually occupy that seat and start to also bring changes that we need. Over to you, Mr. President.
Well, we're not sure Mr. President is here anymore.
He's
I'm
here.
Okay.
I wasn't too so sure if
Mr. President, where are you?
All right. My dear Prince, thank you so much. I think everybody has been so blessed by your conversation and everything. And I must admit that we allowed you to take an unusually long time. And I really didn't try to interrupt you at all because I saw that you were flowing and people were picking it up. We will have you again because this conversation must continue. We really want to find a good and solid solution to Nigeria's leadership problem. We want to see and plan for the future and make sure that we begin to put the pieces in place as we go along to build a great Nigeria. I'm very enthusiastic about Nigeria. I warned my church yesterday, at least those who were there, that nobody was saying any bad thing about Nigeria. We must continue to look at the positives. We must continue to pray. We must continue to bless the country. And we must continue to try to fix whatever problem we can fix. Nobody's going to wait for any government anymore. We're going to just try and do our best and make this Nigeria work. And I do sincerely think it can work. You know, even in the Bible, you'll find that from time to time, it was people like myself that made the economy transform. 2 Kings chapter 6 and 7. The economy was terrible. Even the king didn't know what to do. But the man of God called Elisha made a pronouncement. He said, by this time tomorrow, our economy will change. And God backed him up. And 4 leprous men, 4 useless men, 4 forgotten men, 4 abandoned men took a step of faith and developed some, in today's parlance, maybe they found some gold or some mineral or some resource that they now brought up in the country or brought back to the country that everybody was happy to partake of, and the economy changed. So they change the economy without government if they are determined to do so. That's what that teaching simply says, and with the backing of God. And I think that is where we are to some extent in Nigeria. And God will walk around anybody who chooses to walk around to change and transform our economy. If we don't have the gifts of Solomon, who have the wisdom to know what to do, we don't have the gifts of David who can power the economy, then maybe we have to rely on an Elisha to come and see what he can do to help transform this economy. And from time to time, they had to step in. Nathan, Samuel, people like that, they stepped in to keep the place steady. And that's our appeal to Nigeria. That's why ALG is here. That's why we're doing all that we're doing. It's our own attempt to step in to try and stabilize our economy and get people talking. So I'd like you to please get as many people talking as possible. We'd like to talk to also people in government, in and out of government. We want to take the opinion of everybody, and marshal a way forward. So once again, thank you very much. Keep the flag flying. Help us to form a party that's based on ethics and ethos, and help us to continue to talk to people that we need to do the right thing in Nigeria. And I'm sure the message will percolate down the line. Everyone who's been on this platform today, I really, really thank you. I am grateful to God for your lives and everything. I thank you for your active participation. I thank you for believing in this forum. I thank you for all the favorable comments that I hear thus far. I don't know if people are flattering me or if they are really genuine, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm just going forward with the goals and I think the plans that God has laid out for me. But I thank you for all the very, very encouraging comments that I've heard concerning the ALG. God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy anniversary, Nigeria. Jumoke, congratulations once again. Jumoke gave out her daughter in marriage over the last weekend. So we look forward to meeting a grandmother soon. And Sonny, thank you as well. We really thank God for everything. God bless you all. Have a very wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend. And Prince, we will catch up on the one-on-one one Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much. God bless you all. God
Prince
bless Nigeria.
Thank you all.
My pastor. Thank you.
God
Thank you all. My
Thank you all. Thank you, sirs. Thank you,
my
ma'am.
diasporan question wasn't addressed in the Q session, but it's okay.
Oh, I do apologize.
No worries, sir. Thank you.
Back again.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye.
What are you doing with Showore? You guys should come up and talk to these people. Your generation needs to savage up.
We will do our best.
Your generation, you said you guys in 20 years will be 70. Time is going. Children are dying. Nobody is talking in